All right, guys. So as you see by the title of this video, Donald Trump is likely to be indicted. He has not been indicted yet. We are recording this on Tuesday afternoon, like 4 Eastern time. He still has not been indicted, but it is very likely either Thomas says tomorrow. I've heard possibly next week at the very latest, but it's very likely going to come down at some point. Uh, let's just do some initial reactions first, because you're talking about a former president not too long
Right.
ago is possibly going to be indicted for something that people may argue is not so serious. We'll get to that in a little bit, but just initial reactions, Thomas.
I mean, he's just in trouble in so many ways. It's either this case that's going to get him indicted now, the one in Georgia, and there's like a good amount of other things. It's like every single day he is something else on him. It's
Yeah.
funny.
And you could also argue, we're going to be the fair show, and you're going to see a lot of contrast in this subject. You could also argue that they're trying to pile up everything against him
Right.
that they can. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But anyways, Thomas, just what about like the initial like facts of the case? Like why are they indicting him?
Well, back in 2016, obviously we all know about Donald Trump's affairs he's had with his wives, and one of them is famously known as Stormy Daniels, who's a former stripper, porn star. I cannot remember one of the two, and pretty much he paid her on like his campaign money and labeled it as hush money. So, and I think that was like 150,000 he paid her. So that's most likely, I think, embezzlement and a couple other things, and mostly a misdemeanor at most. But they're trying to make it into a felony, which is absolutely crazy considering who the district attorney is and how he's handled the crime in his city. Is like he's really going after this, but he's not going after all the other crimes, and why New York City has been surging in crime because he's focusing on Donald Trump and not the murderers, the gangs, and any of those people.
Yeah. I'm kind of new to following the political sphere, but I really found it interesting because this district attorney ran in 2021 and he won his seat. And he said he was planning on indicting Donald Trump. That to me, that would break some standard barriers. Like, how are you allowed to just say, yes, I'm going to go target this guy? Like, it should be the case that gets presented to you, and then you go from there. You don't present yourself to the case. But
Right. I mean, this is mostly a misdemeanor at most. And you could say we have to have higher standards because he's a president. Sure. But, how many people do we truly know have done this without actually knowing? Like,
yeah.
we always say that Washington, D.C. is corrupt by politicians.
Well, okay, let's just do the math just for a second. I'll get back to you, Thomas. Let's do the math. You brought this up to me. The average senator, and I think it's not the average, it's their standard pay is 174K.
Yes.
They're all millionaires. Let's do the math there, right? But
And some of these people didn't even show up to work and they're still getting paid. Like Charlie
yeah,
Chris only showed up 11 days last session. And it's like, you're getting paid 174K, just be at work for 11 days. That's like ridiculous. I mean,
yeah.
obviously they got rid of their old voting system. So they have to actually show up to work, but still like, this is how it's corruption at the most, because like a lot of these sessions, they do like a couple hours, then they leave.
Yeah. And
We're
that
paying
that's
for
where it kind of gets me to, because in this situation, with Trump personally, let's play fair show here for a second. Where the two sides pretty much is what Thomas was presenting, kind of was that they're out to get Trump. There's probably a lot of other people who have done this on under the money. I think even Hillary Clinton, who was his opponent in 2016, was doing not for a sexual assault, or excuse me, an affair case, but she was doing something similar with money. So literally in that same election, there might have been something else going on. But on the other side, it's kind of like, well, if the rich break the law, yes, it may be a misdemeanor, but shouldn't they still pay for it? Yes, I understand the statute may have expired, but those are kind of the cases. Some people think that it's time the rich should just face a punishment if they're caught for it. And obviously Trump's base is going to think they're out to get Trump. So that's kind of the standoff we're at right now.
right.
I want to kind of gear this more towards politically though. How do you think this affects Trump politically?
I mean, this is going to make him another it's going to give him more motivation in his base to, oh, they're going out to get me. They are scared of me and all that kind of thing. And I don't really know how other, like the third party is going to view that. The undecided voter who chose between Trump or Biden in 2020, they'll most likely go to Biden again, but they're going to be like, why would we want to indict the former president as our president again? Of course, some people are going to view it as a little bit of bias since, this seems like a power grab for some people, but it will probably make Trump more stronger, honestly. Like, they've thrown so much things at him, and like it only took 43,000. It took COVID, BLM for Biden to win by 43,000 votes. If you
Barely.
do the math in the key states, Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin, 43,000 is the reason that separates the White House and Mar-a-Lago.
And the base loves him. He got 62 million in 2016. He's up to 74 million. The base loves him. That's undeniable. Yeah, I agree. And just one quick thing before I get to my answer on that. People have been talking about DeSantis. Say if Trump has said he's going to give himself up to New York if he's indicted. But say if he didn't, there's been talk about would DeSantis have to extradite him because he's the Florida governor. Go ahead.
I heard Ben Shapiro said he can't do that. You could quote me on that and say
Can't
I'm wrong.
do what? Can't do what?
But, hang on, let me look for it here.
Well, he's looking because I heard that he could try to block it, but he has little to do. But what does it say?
Like Ben Shapiro, if you guys don't like the guy, I mean, this guy studied law and all that, so for us being only in our 20s, he probably knows way more better than
he
us.
does this for a job. Yes.
So pretty much, he tweeted a quote from Matt Walsh's tweet saying DeSantis should vow not. Okay, DeSantis should vow not to extradite Trump and promise to fight this malicious prosecution. Then Ben Shapiro replied back saying DeSantis does not have the power. Article 4, Section 2 of the Constitution governs there.
Bam. Yes. They don't. He has little. He can try to delay it. I read up on this a little bit today too, but he can't really do much. But here's the thing: they're throwing the meat to the base. Is like, listen, DeSantis turned on Trump. He didn't do anything. Same thing with Pence. Like Pence had no choice, but the meat's to the base. Pence is done. So we'll see what happens.
Like they've been doing this, and it's like Trump has tried to call for the execution of Brad Raffensperger, the Georgia Secretary of State, and the governor of Brian Kemp because they wouldn't decertify the election. That's something that they cannot do. Okay.
So, okay, but to get back to the question was a little bit is why will this help Trump? I agree with Thomas that this is in the Republican Party. They're going to love him after this because he's going to go up. Yes, I'm not saying he's for sure going to win the primary because we're still a year away. A lot can change. Right. There's not even much declared candidates. There's only 3. So a lot could change, but it's going to help him popular with the base. I got to agree with Trump, though. In the year 2024, I cannot envision any indicted president, even if it's a little bit of a witch hunt. I cannot picture a person like that being elected president of the United States, especially with Joe Biden, who's kind of gained his moderate reputation back that he lost a little bit back in 2021. He's kind of gained it back. Yes, he may get popular in the Republican base. Swing voters are gone from him. They're gone. Right. And it's going to take a different course, I think, for him to get it back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's look at the statistics here. Donald Trump lost typically a stronghold for the GOP, which were the suburbs. Donald Trump underperformed badly in the suburbs. This affected him in Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. This is the reason why Donald Trump's not in the White House
and what are the suburbs? The cities vote very blue. The rurals usually vote very red. Suburbs, you kind of need those. So that's why he's not.
It depends. I mean, there's 50-50 suburbs. There's like, in Wisconsin, the Milwaukee suburbs are more Republican, but
that's true. Oklahoma City's red too. It depends. Yeah.
But it used to be a Republican stronghold. If you look at Mitt Romney's suburb margins, you're going to see like Donald Trump lost a lot of ground. And this is effectively in Georgia, Cobb County, Gwinnett, and Henry. They used to be Republican strongholds, and now they're almost seeing unrecognizable for Republicans to actually win it there anymore.
Yeah. And as a Republican, sometimes you feel uncomfortable talking to MAGA because they don't want you in the party if you're not MAGA. They
Right.
want you out. I mean, Carrie Lake said it. She said, if you're a John McCain Republican, get out. So they did. They left, and Katie Hobbs
Right.
is governor. So,
Right. And then it's actually, you need to pivot to you could appeal to your base in a primary, but you're going to have to, after you win the primary, you're going to have to
yes.
learn to pivot. You have to pivot to those Democrats that don't like the Democrat nominee, those independents who don't know who to vote for. Glenn Youngkin did exactly that. He pivoted and he got the votes he
Yes,
needed.
Glenn Youngkin's a great example, and Trump himself is a great example in 2016. Hey, Bernie bros, I'm sorry that Hillary went. You could vote for third party. You can even vote for me. He did it himself, and now they don't know. Power got to their head. That's all it is. That's all I can take away from it.